Alright mates, it's your favourite Scotsman here. Today we're talking about the oil tankers and why they're quite cool. Wait, why are you running the intro? As you may or may not know, oil tankers are quite important. But to understand this, you first need to look at the transportation of oil by sea dates back to the 1850s with the need to transport oil from Burma, now Myanmar, to Britain. In those days, oil would have just been poured into the holds of existing ships, although it didn't take long for shipbuilders to be commissioned to build specific ships for this work. One example would be the Vaderland of 1873, which was the first steam-driven oil tank, as they were then known. The first true oil tanker, however, wouldn't come until the late 1870s in the form of the Zoroaster, a 246-ton vessel developed in Azerbaijan by the Noble brothers. Another development would be the storing of oil in smaller tanks in the ship, rather than having it sloshing around in the holds, risking capsized. This again was developed by the Noble brothers and Henry Swan, from Britain. Most oil tankers were built fairly similar until the 1950s during the Suez Crisis, as supertankers then had to be constructed to navigate the Cape of Good Hope round Africa rather than going through the Suez Canal, which was obviously too narrow for those ships at the time. And from that point onwards, they just got bigger, and better for that matter as well. In today's day and age, oil tankers are still a rather common sight on the high seas, with them being the backbone of many economies that rely on oil. Almost all oil tankers follow a similar setup. The superstructure is typically at the rear of the hull, which mainly contains amenities for the crew, such as living quarters and places to get those sausage rolls, and also the lifeboats. The rest of the hull is flat, apart from the pipework on deck, which allows the oil to be loaded and unloaded. And below deck, we find the engine room. Most oil tankers are only single screw, therefore most tankers only have a speed of between 10 and 20 knots. We also find, of course, the massive tanks that are used for storing oil. So, to conclude, oil tankers have come a very long way in the couple of hundred years they've existed, through many developments by many countries, and today are heavily relied on by countries and businesses. And with that, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for next week when I commit some more tomfoolery or something. I don't know.